What's up, guys? Eric here, and I wanted to share my opinion of the Tesla Cybertruck. Now, this is a thing that set the internet ablaze when it came out a couple of weeks ago. And, well, there's a number of reasons why it did that, clearly, because it's a very, very polarizing design from a company that's been seen as the leader in this electric vehicle space. Now, I'm not going to argue the fact that Tesla is innovative in certain regards. Certainly, it put the electric vehicle on the map. Elon Musk developed the electric car. He then developed the infrastructure that went along with that. And so that is something that really forced other automakers to take note. And that's why now we're seeing a lot more electric vehicles being developed. Now, that is a good thing. What I don't agree with is the ways that they've gone about this. Now, ultimately, I think a pickup is a great segment to get into, certainly in the US, where the top 5 best-selling vehicles are, in fact, pickup trucks and full-size ones at the top. So it makes sense to want to enter into that market. Now, whether or not Tesla is doing this because they want to solve the greater problems that are within our society right now in terms of clean air, in terms of benefiting the environment, in terms of helping people free themselves from fossil fuels, as was stated during the opening by the Cyber woman that showed off the vehicle.
The skies are polluted. The world is addicted to oil. But we're here to offer a solution. The Cybertruck.
That's just not right. If you look at this truck, it weighs 10,000 pounds. 10,000 pounds is 5 tons. How efficient is that vehicle going to be? Now, if you look at the design of the car, yes, it's polarizing, okay? But it just doesn't fit into what people are now buying trucks for. Now, it can be argued that people are also buying trucks because they're lifestyle vehicles, because they can fit things into them. You could throw your surfboard in the back, whatever, snowboard, go camping on the weekends. Even with the crew cabs, of course, now they're doubling as family vehicles. They're big, they're, safe, quote unquote, because, that's, another topic. But they are big, heavy trucks, right? Ultimately, though, the farmers, the construction workers, they all use these cars for work. And when they do use them for work in construction sites and things like that, they need things like payload. They need things like towing. If you look at a Cybertruck, for example, even with that proposed range that they're talking about, and I'm not going to get into all the facts and figures over here, sports car, 0 to 60. I mean, how many truck users care about that? But the weight of the truck and what it's able to tow is going to be significant. Now, I think if you look at the electric vehicle technology as far as it's come, you're still, if you're towing a trailer from Kansas to Oklahoma, need to stop quite a few times in order to recharge that battery, because there's so much drain going into and so much energy going into propelling that vehicle in the trailer that it's carrying. So the proposed range is bollocks, in my opinion. Now, the other thing is you can only access this bed from the rear. You can't access it from the side. There's no pass-through compartment like on the Rivian, for example. So it really fails to innovate from a design perspective. Now, design, what is design? Design is far more than just aesthetics. You can talk about, and as many people have, how this vehicle is ugly, how, it's cool, it looks great with this angular aesthetic. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. That's not innovative. That's been done before by numerous Italian automakers in carrozzeria, particularly Gandini in the 1960s and 70s with these cars that he came out with, some of which went into production. Lamborghini Countach. If you look at Giugiaro with the Lotus Esprit, that was back in the day. That was really avant-garde. That was really of the time. But now, to apply that same aesthetic onto a pickup truck is not innovative. Furthermore, the way that they've chosen to do this, and they've told us that the reason why it has this angular aesthetic and flat panels and all the rest is to ease manufacturing. Now, I agree that yes, without having any type of volume in the surfacing, without having to stamp sheet metal, you can get away with saving a hell of a lot of time and money. And that is ultimately the reason why they've done it. But you can't compare it to some of these vehicles from the past that did in fact have curvature. The truck does not, and it looks like it's a real hindrance to other road users, in particular pedestrians or cyclists, for example. So if we're looking into the future and this inclusive, and all of the societal problems that we have, why create such an antisocial vehicle is what it is. It doesn't propose any new design solutions. There is, two bench seats that can accommodate 3 in the front, 3 in the rear. There is no real room here for, new storage solutions. And you've got a skateboard platform, you've got a battery, you've got, wheel and motor or whatever. It's just, there's no innovative storage solutions. Which I would argue as a lifestyle vehicle, it probably should have. Then there's also the fact that it's bulletproof, right? It's like an armored vehicle. So what does that say about us culturally? What does that say about a society? Someone that needs to be protected from what? It's creating this vehicle that is more meant for millennials, that see this as kind of a throwback to Blade Runner and Mad Max and like wanting to save themselves from the apocalypse. I mean, I don't understand how a Terminator style vehicle is solving any of the underlying issues that transportation design faces today. So combine that with the weight, the lack of real usability in terms of a truck sense. Combine that with the fact that it's not near production. It's still a prototype, very much a prototype, because there's a lot of things that are going to need to be addressed within this aesthetic moving forward in order to have it adhere to any type of regulations in the US or otherwise. Second, there's also the market thing, right? In California, people, I've been blown up by people that are talking about how this is cool, right? And most of these guys are living in California, and yes, you see these huge lifted trucks that, obviously communicate this very rugged aesthetic, and, I can drive over you or whatever, and I guess in California, that's cool. But if you look at, where are you going to drive a vehicle like that in anywhere else? In Europe, for example, can you see a car like that tooling around in Rome? Can you see a vehicle like that tooling around in London and then in China as well, right? Which is a huge market for Tesla. Are they going to buy into this pickup truck aesthetic? I don't know. They like polarizing designs. They like having personality in their vehicles. We're seeing that more and more. The tuner scene is growing, all of that. But I think this is a very niche vehicle for a targeted market, and that is the California market in particular, or, indeed the coastal market. But who's going to buy this truck, right? I think it's narcissists, millennial narcissists, or perhaps people that just want to use it as a talking point. Yes, it does rile up the car design industry. Mainly because if you spend a lot of money on a car design education, why not use it? I think there's lots of issues in terms of, fundamentals for this. Certainly the surfacing, having no volumes at all. The proportions to me are a bit off. I don't see the point in other than it being different. Having that roofline the way it is, having that screen rake, having that just screen size. The windshield is massive, I don't see real practical use, right? So the stainless steel is another element that comes into play. Besides the fact that it's ridiculously heavy and can't be stamped, it is also going to show the life of the vehicle on its body. Every scar, every dent, and then maybe that's part of the appeal, right? It's an honest, hard-wearing material. Stainless steel is great. I've been seeing pictures of it painted in different colors, which is hilarious because that's obviously not the intent. But in terms of manufacturing costs, clearly, yes, that is. Now, what is Elon Musk's intended goal with this vehicle? It's to sell cars and, to sell more and to infiltrate into the pickup truck segment. Now, it's not a truck. Now, that's one of my issues with it. Don't call it a truck. Call it a lifestyle vehicle. This is akin to an SUV. This is a vehicle that is going to be able to go off-road, perhaps, depending on, where you're going off-road. You can't go into sand with a 10,000-pound truck. And where you're going to park it as well. So it's for the market that it appeals to. It's certainly the people that want to make a statement more than anything. It's not a vehicle that is going to be applauded by people that are looking to change and help the environment in any way. And it's just, it's a big problem in terms of the impact. And now again, the impact, I want to come back to what Tesla was, intended stated mission is, and that is cleaner air quality, that is freeing us from fossil fuels. But battery production takes energy, right? It takes a lot of natural finite resources as well to produce batteries. How many batteries do you need to propel a 5-ton truck? Also, blazing the trail and being seen as an innovator. And because Tesla has, in fact, done all of these things from an electric vehicle perspective, the infrastructure and all the rest, all eyes are on them. With that, I would argue there's a certain amount of social responsibility that comes into that, right? So you should be, as a company, if your main objective is to come up with cleaner air, if your main objective is to really, move things forward from an environmental standpoint, why create this dystopian style vehicle that is extremely heavy, doesn't have any real innovative solutions, and is going to appeal to a very targeted and segmented part of our population? Now, again, if you look back to what Tesla did in, when it first came out, they were creating vehicles that weren't really pushing things forward. They looked nice, they were decent, they had really good storage and, the front and in the back, and as well as within the cabin. If you even wanted to sit in the trunk, you could, because there was these fold-out seats in the Model S. Now, that is innovation from a packaging perspective. You can, from an interior perspective, you can certainly see the appeal. Now, I'm not saying, and I really am not saying that Tesla should be creating more vehicles like in that same vein with that same design language. No, not at all. They are free to deviate, should they choose to, into another design language, of course, by all means. Maybe the main reason they created vehicles like the Model S and like the Model X and the Model 3 is because they wanted to make it appealing to a broader demographic of people, right? People that didn't necessarily want to have something too different. And we saw that, with vehicles that did come out and they looked very different and they weren't very well received. So, like the BMW i3 or the Toyota Mirai, for example, or, even the Prius. But the Prius is now kind of an iconic vehicle from a power and hybrid vehicle perspective. So anyway, the point is, they can deviate. There's no reason why they should be the same cookie cutter thing like Mercedes or BMW or Audi is doing nowadays. Certainly not. There is room to expand the brand. They don't all need to have this family look and similarities. But I would argue that the way that this all kind of went ahead was at the behest of Elon Musk. Elon Musk said, hey, I want this, and design team build me this, and they didn't really have that much say in the matter. That's how I think it is. I don't have that, backed up by anyone within Tesla, but, hey, if you want to make a statement, you come out with something like this, that just spits in the face to every, the car design community and says, hey, we can do this. And you're going to have some detractors like me, or you're going to have some people that are like, hey, this is really cool and innovative and entitled to their opinion, of course. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. And people within the design community are even saying, hey, I like it, and, you know, have put in an order. Now, I don't know, you know, if they're going to keep to that. I mean, their $100 is refundable. The truck is still 2 years off. So we'll see whether or not it comes to production in that form, if at all. But anyway, it's an interesting thing for me. It certainly, you know, is, you know, riles up against the status quo. It's something different, certainly, without question. No argument from me. It's different. Is it good? Is it appealing? I don't know. Maybe you think so. I don't, because I ultimately don't see it answering any of the questions, be it from a cultural, societal perspective at all. And I don't see it moving the game on in terms of what is required from transportation design in this day and age. So anyway, that's my 10 cents on the new Tesla Cybertruck. And yeah, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. If you want to read more about my thoughts, you can always go and visit my website, formtrends.com. I'll leave a link to that below. And anyway, hopefully you can catch up with me in another video that is a bit more enlightening in the future. Until then, thank you very much for joining me. This is Eric, and I will see you next time. Cheers.